When kindness comes full circle, the November rain fell steady and cold as Robert Hayes spotted the car on the shoulder of Route 27. His truck's headlights caught the silhouette of a woman standing beside a sedan, her business suit soaked through, struggling with a spare tire. Robert didn't have much, but his late wife, Sarah, used to say that kindness doesn't require wealth. It just requires showing up. He pulled over and stepped into the rain. "Ma'am, looks like you could use a hand," he called out. The woman looked up, exhausted relief crossing her face. "I've been trying for half an hour. My phone died and I'm supposed to be somewhere crucial." "Well, let's get you back on the road then." Robert knelt in the muddy gravel and got to work. Her name was Eleanor Walsh. As he changed the tire, she mentioned she was a family court judge heading to an emergency hearing. "Sometimes the hardest part of my job," she said quietly, "is deciding what's truly best for a child." Robert understood. He told her about his daughter, 9-year-old Lily, how they'd been on their own for 2 years since Sarah passed. How he worked mornings at the diner and evenings stocking shelves, barely making rent. But Lily had everything that mattered. She had love. "Sounds like she has a good father," Eleanor said, watching him secure the last lug nut. Robert stood, wiping his wet hands on his jeans. "I just try to be there for her. That's what parenting is, really. Just being there." When he finished, Eleanor reached for her wallet. Robert shook his head gently. "No need for that. Just help someone else when you get the chance." She looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. "I will. I promise." 16 days later, Robert sat in a courtroom that smelled of old wood and anxiety. His sister-in-law, Barbara, sat across the aisle with her attorney. She wanted custody of Lily. Barbara had a 3-bedroom house in a good school district, a husband with a steady government job, savings in the bank. Robert had a 1-bedroom apartment where the water sometimes ran brown, 2 part-time jobs that kept him exhausted, and a 7-year-old truck with 200,000 miles on it. But he had Lily's heart. He hoped that would be enough. All rise. The Honorable Eleanor Walsh presiding. Robert's breath caught as the judge entered the room. It was her. The woman from the highway, their eyes met. He saw recognition flicker across her face, followed by something he couldn't quite read. Then she sat, her expression becoming professionally neutral. Barbara's lawyer painted a picture of instability. The cramped apartment. The irregular hours. The struggle to make ends meet. "Your Honor, Mr. Hayes loves his daughter. We don't dispute that. But love isn't enough when a child lacks proper resources and supervision." Each word felt like a judgment Robert had already passed on himself during countless sleepless nights. When it was his turn to speak, Robert stood slowly. His hands trembled slightly. "Your Honor, I won't pretend my life is easy. I work 50 hours a week across 2 jobs. Our apartment is small. We shop at thrift stores. Sometimes dinner is just grilled cheese sandwiches because that's what I can afford on payday." He paused, his voice growing steadier. "But Lily knows she matters. She knows that when she gets off the school bus, I'm waiting. When she's scared at night, I'm in the next room. When she talks about her mother, I listen, even when it breaks my heart all over again." He looked at Lily, sitting beside the court advocate, clutching the stuffed bear Sarah had given her on her last birthday. Being a parent isn't about having a big house or money in the bank. It's about showing up every single day. When you're tired, when you're scared, when you don't know if you're doing it right. His voice wavered. "I show up for my daughter every single day." The courtroom fell quiet. Judge Walsh studied the papers before her, her face unreadable. The silence stretched on. Finally, she looked up. "Mr. Hayes, would you and Lily please step forward?" Robert's heart pounded as they approached the bench. Lily slipped her small hand into his. Judge Walsh looked down at Lily with unexpected gentleness. "Lily, this hearing is about where you'll live. Do you understand that?" "Yes, ma'am," Lily said quietly. "Aunt Barbara wants me to live with her instead of Daddy." "What do you want, sweetheart?" Lily didn't hesitate. "I want to stay with my dad. He takes care of me." "We take care of each other." Judge Walsh nodded slowly. She was quiet for a moment, and when she spoke again, there was something softer in her voice. "Mr. Hayes, not long ago I was stranded. Cold, wet, afraid I'd fail someone who was counting on me. A man stopped to help. He didn't know me. He had every reason to drive past, but he didn't. She paused, and Robert saw understanding dawn in her eyes that this was more than procedure. That man asked for nothing in return. He simply said, "Help someone else when you get the chance." In that moment, he reminded me of something essential. That character isn't measured by bank accounts or square footage. It's measured by what we do when no one's watching, by how we treat strangers, by how we show up for the people we love. She straightened the papers before her. This court finds that while Ms. Barbara Henderson may offer greater material advantages, Lily Hayes has something no amount of money can provide. A devoted, present father who has demonstrated consistent commitment to her well-being. Custody remains with Mr. Hayes. The gavel fell softly. Robert felt Lily's arms wrap around his waist as his eyes filled with tears. Outside, under a sky that had cleared to reveal late autumn sunshine, Eleanor Walsh caught up with them at the parking lot. "Mr. Hayes," she said, "I want you to know that my decision was based entirely on what's best for Lily, but I also want to thank you." "Thank me?" Robert's voice was still thick with emotion. "That night on Route 27, you reminded me why I took this job. To see people, really see them. Not just circumstances on paper, but hearts and character and love," she smiled. "You showed me that in the rain. I hope I returned the favor today." Robert shook her hand, unable to find adequate words. "You gave me my daughter." "There's no way to thank you enough for that." "You already did," Eleanor said simply. "On a rainy highway, when you had no idea who I was." As they walked to his old truck, Lily chattering about celebrating with pizza, Robert thought about the mysterious way life works sometimes. How one simple act of kindness can travel forward in ways we never imagine. That evening, after Lily was asleep, Robert stood in her doorway, watching her breathe softly, her stuffed bear tucked under her arm. He thought about Eleanor Walsh, about Sarah, about all the moments that had led to this one, about how we're all just doing our best, hoping someone will see our hearts when it matters most. Sometimes, he realized showing up is enough. Sometimes, it's everything. And sometimes, the kindness we give to strangers finds its way back to us, exactly when we need it most.